Welcome to another episode of the Amplify Summit. I am so excited to have Laura West with me today. We've been playing and connecting for quite a long time, and most recently, we've been really diving deep into each other's work and to getting our messages out. We are kindred spirits. We were just talking about that before we came on the air. We have so much in common, and that's why I am so happy to have you here, Laura. So Laura West is an intuitive business success coach. She knows that when you are aligned with your joy, purpose, and signature brilliance, success is inevitable. She has helped thousands of entrepreneurs and professionals shift their blocks and unlock greater success for their soul work. Just love that phrase. Creativity and leadership presence. As CEO of the Center for Joyful Business, now you know why we connect. And an intuitive business success coach, Laura is the author of the upcoming book, Create a Truly Joyful Business. And she's host of the Joyful Business podcast and TV show. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you, Linda. So glad to be here and be part of this.
Well, as always, we always have great conversations in our personal conversations. And when I saw the topic, right, and we talked about this, she's going to be talking today, which really touches me as a woman, as well as an entrepreneur. It's about liberating your soul's divine purpose. And that speaks to me because everything that I do comes from my heart. I never meant to start businesses. I just followed my heart's desires that led to a business.
Yeah.
So talk about, what's that phrase mean for you?
Yeah. So my soul's divine purpose is, to me, that is, we talk about being authentic. To me, that is the pathway to being authentic. And I think sometimes we don't always, it's like, oh, be authentic. And it's like, well, what does that really mean? Or how do I do that? And so in my journey, it's like, I feel like I've been on this journey that I didn't realize it was finding my soul's divine purpose until I was kind of in it. But to me, that is finding that place where you're aligned with who you really are inside. And I can remember I was in corporate marketing before I became a coach 22 years ago. And I can remember when I was leaving to start this business, the CEO of our company, he said, Laura, you're so smart, you're strategic, creative. He's like, but I always got a sense that you weren't comfortable in your own skin. And it just like, oh my gosh, it was like a punch to my stomach, and not because it was really more because it was a truth, right? It was a real truth that I wasn't able in corporate. I wasn't able to be who I truly was. And I didn't really have the words for it then, but I was intuitively seeking this path. And then when I started my business, I knew, I was like, there is a different way to be, because I felt like in corporate, I was always trying to be in somebody else's skin, like somebody is like putting on somebody else's clothes and trying to be the corporate executive, and who was supposed to be more assertive, more aggressive, hustle, and all of those things that I did. And I was successful at it. But when I left, I was really burned out. And it was because I was doing so much that wasn't in alignment with my soul's divine purpose, with who I really am. And so my journey in my business has been to open that up, like excavate it, claim it, be that, and then help others do that as well, because that's when the magic happens, right?
You're speaking my journey, and I think many of the women entrepreneurs who are listening can really resonate. I think we can all have that feeling that we were playing a role in our business that we thought we had to portray to be successful, to be accepted. And as you and I know from our personal journeys, when we shed all those roles and those layers of false masks, that's when everything unfolded for both of us. And because we've had personal conversations, our authenticity, finding what spoke to our souls. That's why I said, ladies, we have a lot in common. That's why we're connected. Our soul's journey were very similar in that it was like, I'm so done with these roles. And when I did that, my businesses went through the roof. And of course, as you and I know, it's an unfolding, right? We're never there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an unfolding, and there's always more layers and more layers. And in I would say the last 3 years, at the beginning, I was all about there has to be a role for joy in business. Like there had to be a different way. And then it became more about claiming my creativity. And then the last few years has been my soul divine purpose is so focused on sharing my wild creative heart, and it's like that's like the beacon, that I'm always aiming at, that lighthouse. It's like, all right, today, how can I share my wild creative heart? Because when it comes from that place, as you said, it's pure, it's a truth, and it's magnetic in that way. It's magnetic because people feel it and they don't even know what your words are sometimes, and they just feel the truth of it.
Well, I think what happens, and I say this to my clients, and you just spoke it so beautifully, is when we do the inner work, the excavation work to bring our authentic self out, what happens is those we are meant to work with as entrepreneurs, all of a sudden energetically, you're like, ooh, I love Laura, I love her energy. And sometimes they might not know why they're thinking it. It's
Exactly.
because truth knows truth, alignment, it just flows.
Right.
So
right.
I began following you, God, over a decade ago. It's got to be even longer than that, because I was drawn to the whole message of joy, joyful business and all this. And you were and are the leader in that. And I was like, this is what everyone needs to know. They need to know that business can be joyful. It's an essence.
Yes.
And
It
then I
can
love
be joyful and you can use your joy. It's like both. It can be joyful, and it's like, how do you make it joyful? And allow yourself to make it joyful. And then it's also, joy is it's like a compass. And it's like, how do I, bring more joy to use my joy to open up my heart. So when something brings you joy, like doing this conversation with you brings me joy, and that's going to open up my creativity. It's going to open up how I show up. Right. And so that's like looking for joy is part of it too.
What I'm hearing too is, if say we create a program as an entrepreneur, if we're doing it because we think we have to, that's an energy.
Right.
If we're doing it going, wow, I'm doing this from my heart, I'm so excited, this is this joy, that's an energy. Those are the programs that work. Those are the programs that fill. And you're all about that. So I'd love you to share your story, because a lot of this Amplify event is about amplifying your visibility, your messaging, your sales, all of it. Right. And you have a story about being invisible and how that transforms. So for all the entrepreneurs who are feeling invisible right now, we get you. So share your story, Laura.
Yeah, well, it's something that I would say it's one of those origin stories that I've really just become more aware of over the last few years. Even though I've been doing this coaching work for a long time, it's like the more you go in, the more you start realizing what this aligned with soul divine purpose, right? These are sometimes the challenges and the hardships. Those are the places to look for your soul's divine purpose. And so one of mine was that I always was soft, had a soft voice, soft presence, quiet voice, and felt invisible. Sometimes I wasn't even heard because my voice was so soft. But then it just escalated, so that there were times, even though I was really successful in corporate, there were also times when I wasn't heard. There was times where I would say something at a boardroom table, and then nobody would respond, and 2 people later would say it, and it was like, oh my God, it's the greatest idea ever. And so it's all those things build, right? They start building the story inside you of, oh, but I'm invisible. People can't hear me. I can't project, or I can't speak, or nobody's going to hear me when I do speak. And so that has been a big part of my journey from the very beginning of, even when I went to college. Like, I forced myself to take a communications class. I was in business and I took a communications class. Even in that communications class, at the end of the year, I got a C, and I should have got an A. So I went to the teacher 2 weeks after, the grades came out, and I said, hey, what's the deal? I did everything. And she's like, oh, but you weren't in class. I'm like, I was in class every day except one day where I was sick. And so she said, well, I never saw you in class, and you didn't turn in the project on time because I changed the date on that day. Anyways, this whole thing about, she knew all the communication people. She didn't know me because I was from business, and I was invisible, even in the class where I was showing up, right? And that just, that has they're like little arrows in your heart, right? And they take down your confidence, and they make you start creating the story that's not true about yourself. And so I feel like I've had this lifelong journey of finding my voice, and that knowing that my voice matters, and that the more I've embraced that, my ideas matter, my opinions matter, my dreams matter, my preferences matter, right? And then that becomes part of my message of when I'm working with people with their joyful business. It's like, what are your dreams? What are your possibilities? How do you find your voice? And how do you share it in a way that feels joyful? So it'll release the creativity around that, and people can hear you, people can see you. Yeah. I know. It's like the first time I've really shared that story that in depth. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can feel it because I believe all of us at one time or another in some way feel that in being invisible, or they fear using their voice. And a lot of entrepreneurs. So just having you share that authentic truth, I know is going to help so many other women entrepreneurs who say, oh, I feel that way. I feel like I either can't express myself in business because I'm afraid of being judged, or I feel invisible. So I want
Right.
to thank you for sharing it, because there is so many layers to being an entrepreneur.
There is.
You
There
know,
is.
like I'm a sacred visibility catalyst. Why? Because my deepest fears for many years was being visible with my message. I would hide behind my brands.
Mhm.
And I finally said, I have got to heal this. It was my 55th birthday. And I named sacred visibility, the whole formula, what it means, the wounds, etc.,
Right.
and stepped out with it, because I knew for me to heal it, I had to live it.
You had to
And
live
then
it.
everything just went boom after that. So
Right.
hearing your story of your pain and struggle, that personal, that is now helping you, empowering you as an entrepreneur, give others a voice so they don't feel invisible. I'm like, that was what got me, is like, that's the emotions that touched me with your story, because I know the work you're doing in the world. So
Right.
let's dive in. So you have 5 steps about liberating your purpose, right?
Mhm.
And anyone that follows my brands know I'm all about life purpose, finding your truth, not trying to create a truth based on what you see for others. So I'm really curious how we can do
Yeah. So love what you're saying. It's like we're speaking, we can like substitute our heads on each other, you know, with our
that. I told you
different
we were
work.
kindred spirits.
That's right. That's right. So there's places to look. Like I like to help start, we do this excavation work, where because it's right there, your soul's defined purpose. There's clues all along your life, all along your business for what your purpose is. And again, when you're aligned with your soul's divine purpose, that truth comes out, your messages resonate, people hear truth, right? So that it attracts the clients, it attracts the opportunities to you. So one of the first places to look for your soul's divine purpose is what we were just talking about with joy, is looking for what brings you joy. Like what brings you joy and what makes you happy, what like tingles you. Sometimes you can feel it in your body, right? And you may not understand what they all have to do with each other. I can remember for years, I had this dream ever since I was a teenager. I wanted to create a magazine. And it was like, I want to be the publisher of a magazine. It wasn't just I wanted to write in a magazine. I want to be a publisher of a magazine. And so I never was a publisher of a magazine per se, but yet I've totally contributed to magazines. I have a newsletter. Like I've done all these things that are very related to that. So to me, that's a clue around what brings you joy. So that's the first place to look. The second place is to really take the time to dig into your signature brilliance and gifts. And I say signature brilliance, like your signature brilliance is made up of what are your strengths? What are your passions? What are you good at? What's your expertise? What have you learned from your challenges? There's gifts from your challenges. And that is your signature experience. And then bring in your personality and, because obviously we could substitute our heads we were talking about, but actually we each have our own unique way of expressing it, right? So it looks different for you and it looks different for me and each person out here. So there's another place. The fourth place is really getting quiet and dropping into your heart. Dropping into your heart. And I noticed that's something that we both naturally did right before we started. Like we both just dropped right into our heart. And really, to me, your soul's divine purpose is in it. You can find it in that place where your soul talks to your heart. It's where your soul and your heart talk and then they inform your head about where to go, right? And that's a practice, because we're taught to do that, especially in business. And so your heart and your soul are going to communicate, right? And your soul will send messages from, like, what makes and there's two questions I ask, and it's, what makes your heart sing? What makes your heart sing? What makes your heart expand? Where did you get, just excited? Your heart just, you can almost feel that expansion experience, that expansion energy. And those are clues for, what gets you really excited, right? Clues for they're clues for what's inside you that wants to come out more, right? Because you see that. Like I would do with magazines. I would just look at magazines. If there's a new magazine out, I bought it, because I used to look at that. Like, I think of your magazine that you have, your online magazine, and it's like that. Just, I love, to create and bring all that together, and that would make my heart sing, right? That kind of idea. The second question, when you're looking into your heart and where your soul's communicating with your heart, is what closes down your heart, or what hurts your heart? So what hurts your heart, So for me, it hurts my heart when I think that people's believes that their ideas don't matter, when they're like when they can't be in possibility land with me, that kind of thing. That hurts my heart. Or when they say, oh, I'm not creative. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's creating in all different unique ways, right? That makes my heart hurt. It also makes my heart sing, right? And so that's a place that I go to, and that's where I can find my soul's divine purpose. And then the last one I would say is, what's become a big part of my life, and I know it's part of your life, is really listening to your intuition and guidance, and making that a daily practice, and your soul's divine purpose, and keep asking as though it's already there. And it's like, please reveal more to me today. Please reveal more to me today. Let me be in my soul's divine purpose. And you will start receiving the guidance and the directions and what I call the clues for where to show up, how to show up, and what the next step is. That was like a quick session.
But it's so powerful and beautiful. And ladies, if you're here for the Amplify event, it tells me you're mission driven, heart led, maybe spirit led. So this conversation to me is as deep as giving strategies of go do a Facebook Live, etc., because we are our business. We forget that our energy, our essence is what calls people in. And in the work that you do with clients, so say we're having a VIP day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you help them excavate everything you just shared with us. And then, like, for example, we'll put it in a real life example. When you help them and go through those processes, now they know what brings them joy. Mm-hmm. They know their strengths, right? And their brilliance. And then from there, you work with them to help them craft their next steps in their business. Like, okay, if that brings you joy, let's craft a program around that.
Right. And then what makes your heart sing and what makes your heart cry? Then to me, those are all clues. Like when you take your soul, your soul's divine purpose, and you put it into your business, it becomes your soul work, right? So your soul work, then all of a sudden it becomes real for people. And it's not just, although I'm passionate about this, but it's like, this is my soul work. This is the work I'm here to do, and to help people make changes through their business. And so then what we do is we bring that into everything that they do. So when they create a package, we bring in their soul's divine purpose. How would you create your package? Last year, or this year, I'm leading a mastermind called, Liberate Your Wild, Creative Heart, right? Based on exactly my purpose, and calling others in who have that purpose as well. And so it's everything informs your marketing, how you want to show up on social media. It's like we start opening the door to that authentic self who really wants to show up and be, share your truth. Yeah.
I think it's so important too, because I just discovered on my own journey, as you have, and many who are listening, as we evolve as entrepreneurs, it's almost like a deeper dive into who we are. And then it reflects outward. And I'm noticing more and more people, they don't say, hey, Lynn, I love what you do in business. They go, I love how you show up in business.
Right.
And for a long time, I go, what do they mean? I don't get that. I know what they mean now. How I am energetically in my business that makes them feel what they feel. Right. Loved, supported, etc.
And they want to be around that, right? They want to be around that more. They want to have those eyes, that heart on their business, in their business. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I hear too, and I'm sure you do too, it's like, because I hear this all the time, I have a feeling you do too. I want my business to feel like it seems like yours feels. You're always joyful. You're never overwhelmed. You're always in like I love my business.
This amazing flow, right? And just, I love what I get to do every day.
And I tell them it is possible. It is possible, but you have to do the inner work. So that everything you shared earlier was so beautiful, because I love that word excavating. Because
Mhm.
listen, we all have muck. Every one of us.
Absolutely. The muck is what, we got to have that friction in order to, otherwise, because if we were just in joy, everything was just joy from the moment we were a child all the way till now. It's like we wouldn't have that sense to create. Like, why would we need to do anything different? Right.
And I like to, I believe that when we do the inner work to clear the muck, like I had to clear it to just have the courage to start a business. The first business 2 years ago, I had to clear the muck of being visible. I had to clear the muck of owning my voice and message and not caring what other people think, knowing that if I'm just me, I'm going to attract those who are meant to work with me. And that's what I want to encourage you all. Embrace your authentic self. And remember that moment that you had the vision for the business, all of us, in that moment that you received the seed from your business, that thing that lit you up, that you stayed up for 24 hours.
Where your heart's expanding.
Mm-hmm. You were aligned with what you're saying, that unique brilliance, that connection to the divine that was saying, here's part of your path, here's the tip, here's the hint. And a lot of times we forget about that moment and we start going into our head to build our business, which yes you do need, but
we love our heads. Like, we love the head part, right? But it's like, that doesn't have to lead. It's the heart and soul connection that we want to lead from, to tell our heads what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, because back around 2009, I think Aspire was probably 3 years old. I lost the connection to my authentic voice because I was trying to do everything everyone told me I should do as a publisher of a magazine, and none of it felt authentic. But I kept doing it. I'm like, they must know, because they are successful in business. And the more I did that, I gave away my voice, kind of like you feeling invisible in school. I gave away my voice. I felt my connection to the reason I started Aspire fading away.
Right.
And I had to reclaim that and go, and that's what turned everything around. I said, I need to be in alignment with my truth, not the world's truth. And that journey began in 2009. And I think I know it changed everything. And I'm still evolving, as we all are. That's why I love the deep excavation work you do with your clients.
Right. And then it's like using that deep excavation, like you're saying, that it's because the marketing strategies they're all over the place, right? They're a dime a dozen, right? And we all want those marketing strategies, but the strategy is not the answer to saving your business or growing your business. It's who you're being, right? And it's that authentic heart piece that when you apply that to the strategy, then that's when the strategy takes off. It's like you're saying with your magazine, you were doing the things, but it wasn't quite clicking until you started really speaking from your heart, finding your truth and expressing your authenticity. It's the same thing when I work with clients. It's like, we can talk about, here's what to do for your marketing. Here's 3 things. I call it a marketing prescription. Go do these 3 things. Call me in the morning. They won't do it, right? Until we get the muck out of the way that frees them up to really find their authentic self and be in their soul's divine purpose. That's what makes everything start getting magnetic, right? And being in the flow.
Yeah, and something else too, I noticed when we're in that place that you just beautifully described, and we're not in marketing, right? I noticed the results are stronger. Because we go into marketing like as a task. That's it. I can only share my truth. If it was just a task and it didn't have Linda's energy in it, I know what it feels like to me. But when I go, oh my God, I can't wait to share this, there's a different energy. It's not marketing, it's love, right? And a quick story, because I can remember 10, 11 years ago, I was not doing any coaching. I was building media brands, but I was not doing one-on-one coaching. And a woman I had worked with in a lot of projects for a long time kept going, I want you to coach me. I'm like, I don't do that. I don't do that. And she meant about marketing a business. And I'm like, I don't do that. I can't teach that. She goes, Linda, okay, I'll use a different language. She goes, whatever you're doing to grow all your brands, it seems like you were never marketing and are growing brands. I want that. And I'm like, for 1 year. And finally I said yes to her. She was my very first client. And then here we are 10 years later. And I have programs filled with entrepreneurs who want to market with love, intention, integrity, and joy. Everything that, and you get it. You just beautifully described how that client, if you give them the 3 tasks in the prescription, they don't do it because they don't feel the connection.
Yes, they got to feel that connection of, I always look at like marketing is giving a gift. And that's the only way that I can market. Otherwise I feel, it just doesn't feel good and I won't do it. My clients won't do it. But when I feel like I'm giving a gift, I'm, sharing from that place of being generous, sharing from a place of love, as you just said, it's like, oh, I can't wait to send this email because there's something good inside that's going to change somebody's world, going to change their mind, going to open up their heart, going to give them more confidence and courage and open up their creativity. Yeah.
Then it's like a sharing energy. It's so different. And that's why I love the feminine marketing model that I've been using since 2009. It feels good. And you use it too. You might call it something different, but I receive stuff. I've been on your show. You've been on my show.
Right.
I read your emails. We communicate in the same way with our audience. Yes. So much juicy wisdom you've been sharing today. And I want to invite everybody, because right below this video, Laura has a powerful opportunity. It's a free gift, and it's called The Energetics of Business Success. Now, it's a free masterclass that goes live. I don't have the exact date, but it goes live in November. But Laura, can you tell them what they'll learn on that? Because that's live with you, correct?
Yes. Yeah. They get a live class. It's so good. I lead these like once a quarter, and we get in and talk about the energetics. And again, this is the stuff that people don't commonly talk about with business, but I talk about the 7 environments that make up your ecosystem for creating a flourishing environment for you to truly flourish and grow. And then we go in and talk about how do you manage the energetics so that you can open up to more creativity, more intuition, more guidance, so that as you do those things, you can apply it to your business strategies, writing your book, creating your podcast, your TV show, your marketing, your emails, your social media posts, all of that, the ways that you're going to get out there, your speaking, your networking. And then we use those energetics to start creating that, right? So that you can be in this really powerful magnetic energy. So it's a really good class. You can tell I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I am too, because you and I, again, kindred spirits, I talk about energy all the time with clients. It's who you're being, not what you're doing, that gets results.
Yes.
So I got to tell you, ladies, grab this, register right now, right below this video, The Energetics of Business Success. It's a free masterclass live. You get her. Are you crazy?
Come on.
Yeah, go on. And I'll got to tell you, she attracts the most yummy individuals. Yes. So you will be in a high vibe tribe of other entrepreneurs who want this, who want to feel aligned, who want to feel joyful. So give yourself this gift, right?
Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah. Part of what you want to create in the energetics is having an ecosystem of who are you with? Who's your community? So that high vibe tribe is absolutely, you want to be around more of those people, like with your stuff, with my stuff. It's like, those are the kind of people we attract. And that raises your vibration, which then raises your creativity, your joy, all of that. Yeah.
And it also, as we do that, as we work with our own individual energetics, as well as the ecosystem that you talked about, as your vibe goes up, as you're doing that work, you're calling in aligned peers. Like I called in Laura, she called in me. We call in the most yummiest, beautiful clients. It starts with who we're being, right? So please say yes. Take advantage of this free live masterclass with Laura. And Laura, as always, we could keep going and going. So love you, my friend. Thank you. Always love the work you do in the world. Look forward to everything that's probably coming in the future for us together.
Thank you. Thank you for having me a part of the work that you do.
Well, I love your message. So it feels so aligned, and I'm excited to share you with my audience and vice versa.
All right, thanks.
Blessings, my friends.